Hey everyone, this is my third video on basically a campaign, a theoretical, please elect me to a theoretical office. And I'd like to let you to let me know what you think about how my ideas advance democracy, freedom, what you think about the logic behind my ideas, which you like or don't like, and yeah, let me know if you would vote for me. There's two previous videos where we talked about, in the first one we talked about social issues, which covered these topics, the primary social issues listed on so it was isidewith.com, and then at the end we actually did go into the economic issues where I thought the most important issue of all, the income tax and the benefits, how the government collects money and how it distributes money back, money slash resources slash service and so forth. Easily way more important than everything else here, though there are some important topics, and in this one we're just talking about economic issues. So before I've talked about equality and how we cannot look at any person's group identification, ethnicity, gender, or anything like that without being biased, without making our decisions utilize one of those characteristics. And I do have sympathy with the equal pay issue, but I would definitely not say that we should require employers to consider the gender for the pay. Now, there are reasons why women may not be paid as much as men. I have sympathy with that. But those reasons, I think, should be addressed directly, not putting a band-aid and saying we're going to make everything equal. So I would want to address those reasons as my address on equal pay. So I would turn equal pay into empower not just women, but empower all people. Because again, I don't want to say empower one group. Now, there are things that women need to be empowered with that men may not necessarily have such a great need for, hence their higher pay in general for the same jobs. But I think everyone could use the empowerment. And there are a lot of people that get paid less than others doing the same job that are the same gender. So and they could also use the benefit of this empowerment. So what do we need? Well, in the first place, the primary thing that drives wage is the ability to offer value. Because you might lowball me, and I might accept a job with you, but if I have an incredible amount of value, and I can let other people know about it, so that would be the first part of it, is helping everyone to see everyone else's value. And I would want to streamline that on an Amazon-style job market board type thing. But basically, if people can know your value, they'll make higher offers. And maybe you choose to decline it, and then that's your choice to have lower wages. But definitely empower people to increase their value and show it. Now, the third part of being able to negotiate. Negotiating is an important part, but I don't think it's the biggest part, and it is fairly simple. Just show what you have to offer of value, and unless you're desperate, you don't mention anything about previous salary or salary expectations. And you just say, hey, what do you think is fair? I'll evaluate it with the rest of the offers. And you limit it to that. Now, I didn't do that for my current position for some reasons, because I knew that I'd be able to get a good wage, and I wasn't going for the highest, and there were things that I wanted that extend beyond wage. And that's one thing I think equal pay does not address, is the value of non-tangibles, experience, benefits, which you can't really represent in a pay, work from home, holidays, vacation days, and so forth like that. So it is kind of shallow to talk about equal pay, but there are things that we can empower people with to get more benefits, more pay, and so forth. Welfare. So as long as welfare is conducted in a way that does not identify one group over another, I totally support it. So we cannot be asking questions like, how much do you make? how much money do you have? These things identify specific groups over others. One group benefits more than another. Instead, we can ask questions like, do you need food? That applies to everybody equally. Or do you want food from us, right? So a rich person could come in and say, yeah, I want food, waste their time because their time is worth so much. And they wouldn't really be getting much for their value on that. But if we're going to offer food, we should not be saying, how much do you make? Are you black? Are you gay? I don't care. Who cares? Are you Christian? Who cares? As far as the government is concerned, if it's offering welfare, it should be equal to every person. Every person should have equal access or ability to claim those benefits. And really, we all have to eat. And the money from food is insignificant fraction to the wealthy, so it's not even going to benefit them much anyways, comparatively. If they don't mind admitting, yeah, I receive food stamps. Man, I don't know any wealthy person that would stoop to that kind of level. They consider themselves not just one, but several cuts above all of us. Yeah, they could not. There's no way they would do that. Welfare drug test, same thing. Minimum wage. Yeah, I'd have to talk more about that. That's its own. So in the previous one, I mentioned how Social Security is its own video, minimum wage is its own, and the logic behind that is its own. I'm not going to say I'm for or against it directly, but I think that the discussion on minimum wage and where it should lead us, maybe not necessarily towards minimum wage, but definitely things that address the concerns behind here are definitely worth talking about. Again, a Social Security, maybe we don't have Social Security, but definitely the concerns behind Social Security of retirement definitely should be addressed. Maybe not in this way, but yeah, it's definitely worthy of talk. So let's see, what do we have here? We're doing pretty good. I'm just going to wrap this up pretty quickly because we already talked about taxes, spending, and income. There's this thing about labor unions. They would want to address really briefly. And then probably corporations. And I think that's pretty much it because I talked about pretty much everything else here. I want a fair tax and equal end-use tax for at the end-use means at the consumer level when the product is being sold to be used. And that would be at the exclusion of every other kind of tax. Property tax, farm tax, all gone. Capital gains tax, gone. Income tax, gone. All taxes except the sales tax. And I already mentioned in the first video that I would connect the tax to the spending directly. So it would be impossible to spend more than you tax. Every approval for an additional spending would require approval at the same time for additional taxation. Okay, so let's talk about corporations, how they say it. Individual profit without individual responsibility. Yeah, there's a huge problem with that. Because if you don't have to be responsible, especially even criminally responsible, but you can take all the profit from what everyone else earns for you that's working under you. Yeah, there's a big issue with that, and it's definitely something that needs to be addressed at a legal level, the way corporations are recognized. And that's a huge task right there, separate for another video, but I definitely disagree with one board or group or governing CEO or organization, whatever it is, that collects all the profit of the corporation, or huge amounts of profit, at the expense of the workers. The products and the profit belong, I would say, equally to those who work as it does to those who invest in some kind of a proportional method. So anyhow, yeah, definitely want to talk about that more later. And then let's see, labor unions. Yeah, that's so. There is a need for labor unions. that the government was not meeting. It's again a corporation irresponsibility, the corporate individual profit without individual responsibility type thing. And there are things that I think if government steps in and forces corporate responsibility along with individual responsibility for individual profit, there would be no reason for labor unions, because the individuals would have direct responsibility for their actions and immediate responsibility for their actions. So, yeah, they would be unable to commit atrocities that they had before against the working people, as we call them. So, yeah, but labor unions, so my opinion of them is that they basically highlighted a need that the government, not just a need, they emphasized that the government laws were not good enough, that the government was insufficient when it came to their responsibilities. So yeah, black eye on the government. And I don't think that labor unions are good for competition, but I do believe that there should be things in place by the government enforcing responsibility that prevent them from being needed. So in my vision, employees would have a kind of a competitive job marketplace that enabled them to get the most, and they would have companies that would be so afraid of risking their lives or abusing them that they simply would not treat the workers incorrectly, violate their safety and so forth. So yeah, all about responsibility there. Anyhow, thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed the thoughts, the logic behind this, and that you had your own ideas that you could share in agreement or disagreement. Please let me know if you're interested, if you would actually vote for me in a theoretical election for a theoretical office. Definitely no plans for any real office, but I definitely am interested in, I guess, getting people thinking about fixing our laws. It's just so corrupt, and our politicians are so corrupt. And so, if there's a way that I can step in and actually help make things better, I'm definitely open to it. But there are no plans in the immediate future, long future, for that right now. But just let me know what you think. If somebody like me was going to run for office, would you support me? And yeah, definitely interesting your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Bye.